Hello, it's good to see you again on this Tuesday afternoon. I hope that you had a great Memorial Day weekend and more specifically a really good Memorial Day. But more than just being a nice day off or spending a time with your family and friends, I hope that you also took a moment to at least think about those who had given their life so that we could remain free. It's important for us to remember why we have Memorial Day. Memorial Day is set aside so that we can remember that those who gave their life for us paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we could remain free. That's actually going to tie in a little bit more with what I'm talking about a little bit later in this thoughts this Tuesday. So we started this last week, just a moment to get together on a Tuesday to help inspire you, maybe a little bit of a devotional nugget for you to think about and to chew on a little bit throughout your day. One of the things that we talked about last week as we kicked this off was what it looked like to have a transformed life. Jesus calls us to live a transformed life, and by having a transformed life, that means that we love like He did, that we have faith like He did, that we have a hope like He did, that we should be people of love and people of peace and people of faith and people of hope and people of worship, all those things. And today we're going to talk about more specifically what it means, to be a people of love. I think that this is one of the most important key elements that we can have as we try to understand what it looks like to have a transformed life. We need to know what it looks like to be a people of love. It's so important for us to know what love is, what it's like, because Jesus called us to that ethic. He called us to that standard, that our standard should be that of love. Some Pharisees were trying to corner Jesus one day, and they're asking him, what is the greatest commandment? And in Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 through 39, Jesus said this: "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and most important commandment. The second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself." Jesus was so clear about this being the standard. This is how you're to love, with all your heart, mind, and soul. Jesus went on in John chapter 13, verse 34, to say this: "I give you a new command. Love one another. Just as I have loved you, you are to love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." A couple chapters later, in John chapter 15, verse 12, Jesus repeats this command when he says, "This is your command. Love one another as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, than to lay down his life for a friend." I guess that's where this ties back into Memorial Day, in the fact that those people that have gone before us, those men and women who have paid the ultimate sacrifice, did that so that we could be free. It was an act of love for them, and it was great love. No greater love could have they shown than that they gave up their life for us. Giving up your life can be so much more, though, than just physically dying. Giving up your life for someone else can mean giving up your preferences. That I would prefer to do this, but because I love you as Jesus commanded, I'm going to give that preference up and I'm going to experience this thing, whatever that might be. I'm going to give up my preference so that your preference can be made manifest. So it could be what's put on the front, so that you can see Jesus' love through me, through my actions. It could mean that I give up my mean spirit. I'm putting that to death so that I can build you up. So often we have a mean spirit, but we try to mask it with being humorous, being funny, just joking. But those things can actually be hurtful and dig into us. And Jesus says no greater love can you have than to give up your life. Maybe to give up that thing which is natural for you, but it causes damage to someone else. Maybe Jesus is calling you to give that up, to die to that part of yourself. It can mean that we're giving up our rights. The right to do what we want to do, when we want to do it, how we want to do it. It's my right to say this. It's my right to do this. It's my right to feel this way. It's my right. It's my right. It's my right. And Jesus is saying, no greater love than this, that someone gives up their life for a friend, that someone gives up their rights for a friend, that someone gives up their way of doing things for a friend, that someone gives up their preferences for a friend. That is how we can live a life that has been transformed. Live a life of love. You know, I think one of the greatest examples of love often comes through our pets. This week we had the heartbreak of having to put Coco down. Coco has been with us for 8 years. Great chocolate lab. She came into our life and she showed us what love was. She always loved our family. She was always cheerful with our family. She always was there for our family, and she showed this great love to our family. So we had to put Coco down this week because her back legs just completely, it was like the back half of her just became paralyzed. And there was really nothing we could do, and it was heartbreaking. And while it was heartbreaking for our family, our other dog, or the other dog that's living with us, Abby, she also sensed this great moment of loss when her buddy was no longer there. And you could just see as she was going through her days, she wasn't eating, she wasn't sleeping really well, she was not drinking a lot, and she just, the pep that she would normally have, the energy that she would normally have was not there. She was depressed. And Christina noticed the other day as Abby was just laying in the room that one of our cats, Daisy, must have sensed that something was wrong, that Abby was feeling depressed and concerned, and so she just went over, Daisy just went over and laid down next to Abby, just to be with her, just to give Abby some comfort in this time. We can learn so much from our pets, of how to be there for each other, how to love one another, how to just bring joy and love into each circumstance. Jesus, though, is our ultimate example. Jesus literally gave up his life for us. He called us his friends and gave up his life for us. He laid down his rights of heaven for us. He gave up all the privileges of heaven, of his deity in that sense, for us, so that he could become human and live among us to show us the way to go to Jesus, to go to God the Father. He paid the ultimate price so that we don't have to. What greater love can someone have than this, that he laid down his life for his friends? I hope that this encouraged you today, that you got something out of this. Love you, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow on our Wednesday Night Live broadcast.